All right, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show here in 2021. I hope everybody's staying positive. Moving forward, we're streaming live as we always do now over the Facebook world, but obviously this content will end up on YouTube and the traditional podcasting world. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't bring a lot of repeat co-hosts back on, but when this gentleman's team reached out, I was like, dude, we got to connect. We got to reconnect. We got to connect on some past vibes. So this gentleman aired back in 2019 on episode 296. It was called Stop Hiding, Stop Lying for Fearless Wealth. We actually had aired August 22nd, 2019 in the podcast world. And the book is great. And I promoted it. That's one of the reasons why I promoted it back then. But this gentleman brought a lot of stuff to light for me. And I really connected a lot on financial knowledge. So obviously this show, we talk about health, business, and lifestyle, right? Tagline for you new listeners, we fuel your health, business, and lifestyle. But the biggest thing I personally admitted to in my life was I was afraid of wealth. I looked at it as, because I didn't grow up with a lot. I was afraid of it. I was like, oh, rich people suck. All kinds of variables that are not healthy. And I've changed a lot in my life already. So, but anyway, because things have been so challenging since then, 2020, everybody's calling it the dumpster fire year. 2021, I'd like to see some more positive results come out of this. I've been helping a lot of small businesses and a lot of business colleagues during this transition with everything COVID and beyond. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the return of R.C. Peck, author of Fearless Wealth. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, man. Good to be here.
And by the way, we were talking before the show, so I'm just going to go ahead and blend it right in.
Do it.
Loving the look. Okay. When I say the look, so ladies and gentlemen, you hear this, obviously we have a video feed. He's chilling in a nice sporty hoodie. He's got his kids' little artwork behind him and a baseball cap, because normally I rock that too. But I love it. So we were just discussing how his artwork from 2019, he's got this nice professional look with a suit. And I was making a joke how I used to have suits. And then I got rid of all the suits to go be a firefighter. And then I actually ended up buying, I do own currently 2 suits, one for my wedding. And I was using it in a photo shoot for my new book. But the whole point of this transition, just to kind of break the ice, was I love the fact that RC, you brought up posturing. And now that we've started the show, I was like, posturing happens a lot in the financial sector, right? I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of entrepreneurs are out there. You just watch social media, for God's sakes. There's people out there like acting like they're bigger than they are or more successful than they are. And I'm all about positive thought. I'm all about manifestation, right? Law of attraction. I believe in a lot of that, but I also believe in keeping it real. So what are your thoughts, sir? Since you're the guest co-host returning, how would you like to continue that little theme real quick?
I mean, I like the word posturing. I really grabbed onto it because I'll be 50 in about 3 months.
Okay.
I'm a
By the way, looking good, sir. Looking good for almost 50. I'm 43. So
all right.
You're inspiring me. So
look, I'm a single dad. I have 2 kids, a 10 and 13-year-old. Got divorced 3 years ago. And it was such a clarifying moment it's hard to put words to it, but I notice a lot when people are posturing because I used to posture so much. And I said to you before the show started, to me, posturing in many ways is really lying. Okay. Like you're not wanting people to see your full part, right? I mean, and the platforms just helped us. And we're not going to go on a rant on the danger of that, but you'll see a picture and what you don't realize is they did take 200 pictures.
Oh yeah.
And they spent 20 minutes finding the one. They got it down to 20 pictures and then 7. And they found the one that just make their butt look great or whatever it was. It's like, I got it.
And then they still add a filter, right? Because now you got a filter nowadays too, right? So it's like,
but like, and so part of it was like, I was like, you know what? I'm done. No more posturing. I've always been into the outdoors. I bought a mountain light in 1989. This small company called North Face came out, this new type of jacket called the Mountain Light. And it was the first jacket ever where it was just the layer. There was no insulation in it. It was longer. A shell,
right?
It was a shell.
Yeah.
It was one of the first years. And I grew up outside of Chicago. And there was no REI where I lived or anything like that. But there was this store called Ear One, which is nowhere backwards. And
fun spin. I like that.
And they had the Mountain Light.
Okay.
And in $1989, it was $399 plus tax.
Oh, if I told you what I spent on jackets now, yeah.
I know, but I mean, come on, that was 31 years ago.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, that's
$400.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, with the divorce and just like, wait, I wear hoodies. Like I mostly don't wear shoes. Like I will get in my car just with, as my daughter says, with just my feet on.
See, you'd appreciate it. I don't have them in here right now, but since you said North Face, right? We'll give them a shout out. Have you ever seen their down insulated, like campus slippers?
Oh yeah. You
have. I was wearing them, and I think I left them outside the room and forgot to put them back on because my house is 1910, and these old wood floors are beautiful, but there's no insulation under that. Basement's cold, and I can feel the cold coming up through the floor.
Yep.
So I'm with you.
But it was like, you know what? Why do I care so much? And I cared so much because I wanted people to love me.
Interesting.
And, but anyone who, I mean, so I believe that people who posture are people saying, love me, love me, love me, because they didn't feel the love from their parents, like, or they don't love themselves.
So what would you say to the devil's advocate who is basically hears that and maybe flips it and says, well, no, I don't believe that's why I do it. I do it because I want to embody that I am successful. And I want these potential colleagues or business connections to see that I'm a hustler and I'm ready to get after it. Even if I really don't have that level of success yet, I'm in it to win it. I don't know. Like, but it's interesting how your underlying principle there. It's like, well,
it's a spectrum, right? So it's a spectrum of, I mean, everything is a spectrum in life, right? There is not this or it's not that. And look, if I went to a BNI Business Network International, which I hate networking, but if I went there and I saw someone with like clothes that didn't fit and scraggly hair and 3 weeks of unshaven and, you know, something in his teeth, I'm like, who's the homeless person?
Yeah, true.
Right. So, I mean, there's a level of presenting yourself properly.
Yes.
Now, I am at worst cynical and at best a recovering cynic, because I'm very cynical of the financial industry, the big box world, Wall Street. So I'm very cynical of that. My parents had their life savings from their financial advisor. Like, so as best as I attempt to not be a cynic, I noticed me having to manage my cynicism about investing. And so I think part of me was, and I never liked suits. I never thought they were cool. It was something I had to have for work. When I lived in Asia, I never wore it. And partially because it's like, oh, that's the foreigner. So there was like, okay, you know, he doesn't wear it. And for me, when I started working with people on money, I didn't want to have to put the costume on. And that's how I felt. For me, it was a costume. I'm like, I want them to hire me or buy my service based on my intellectual property.
Yeah.
I don't want to put a weird view of me, like the weird hair or whatever. I don't want to put a self-righteous look of me forward, but it's like, I'm here. If you need someone that shaves every morning and wears a suit, I'm not your guy.
Right.
But if you're wanting to truly connect the dots and figure some stuff out, then, you know.
Well, it's interesting then. So what do you think about this 2020 to 2021 transition then? So for everything that you're embodying and you self-realize, right, and you recovered from, and I have as well, is that especially now during this COVID transition and everybody else being stuck at home and working from home and working remote, it's like, well, I think it's actually allowed some people to realize, like, is that suit really worth it? Like, I don't need to. I mean, now some people are actually putting suits on from the waist up. Whatever's happening down below, we don't know. But the point is, like, also.
But think about this. So you watch someone on TV.
Sure.
You see them in their family room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's got a suit on.
In
To
his
me,
family room.
that's really weird. So hold on. It's deep COVID shutdown. You're in wherever, some state where it's, deep state shutdown.
Right.
We know, like, I think unconsciously, like, why'd you put the costume on, dude?
Like we know you're working from home.
Like we know, or like we see that's your bedroom. We don't care. You care.
Yeah.
But we don't care. So I sometimes now see people and I call them costumes, and that's a judgment. Like, I'm just like, dude, take the costume off. Just
and I just to play on both sides of the fence, I could see where I remember when I was trying to figure this all out, right? And where you were too, right? We were trying to put the costume on, or a lot of influencers or coaches out there would say, well, listen, you can't start a hugely motivational, productive day in your pajamas. Maybe one day you can, because you got to learn how to put in the reps. You got to learn how to, because first of all, I'll be the first one to tell you this. I was in the telecom space. I did a lot of coaching and management in the call center world. There are people, including me at that time, back in 2000, or whatever it was, that I could not work remote. I would go home and I'd be like, TV goes on, I'm doing some laundry. And then if that headset rang, then I'll worry about it. But if I was working remote, because I was reporting to a headquarters in Seattle and I lived on the East Coast, I was like, I got a 3-hour buffer. It was a hot mess. I mean, hot mess. And all my management's like, hey man, you should really dress professionally for it flips your mental game.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I believed that. And then I realized once you put it in enough reps, or you surround yourself with better influential people that actually know how to help grow your mindset around that, it's like, oh, I don't need a suit in my home office to teach me how to be professional and flip that switch. So I think it's been a wake up call for a lot of people. It's like, wait a minute, if you're new
and we see some of that, like we see that now where it's like, got it, you're at home, it's cool. Like people are more casual. They have baseball hats on. Yeah. I love that part of it. Like, I love the part, like, yeah, there's things that will not shift back because of the shutdown.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
well, look at Twitter. Look at Twitter said, hey, permanently, the rest of our company's future, all employees
when it's
work
like,
from home. So,
and whenever I did work corporate, I worked corporate before I worked for myself, and I always did sales, and I always did outside sales. And the nice thing about outside sales is you're pretty much only measured by numbers. And so I just remember like working for companies, and I was like, if you're a B player, right? So there's the A players, B, C, D, and F. If you're a B player, your boss is never going to call you. If bad stuff's going to come down, you're going to see the D and the C players get fired before you. So when
you're doing enough to get by.
Yeah, you're not getting called out. You're a B player. You're a B player. But just kind of going back to the shutdown, and I mean, I like that it's kind of called some things out. And again, I know part of it is with me, just me being self-righteous about some things, and self-righteous is not a good thing to be, by the way. So it was nice to be joined by a lot of people. They're like, yeah, this is just what I wear. Now, and I will tell you, like, the background was very deliberate for me.
I was wondering, I was going to ask you sooner or later in the show. I was like, the whole child art thing. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it was,
you're a proud father. Yeah.
I'm a proud father. I'm an all-in dad. If you ask me my values, the first thing I'd say is being a dad, being a better dad, being a better dad, how to be a better dad. I'm an all-in dad. Like, it would be all around dadhood.
Yeah.
And one of my big things is creativity. I want to raise very, very creative thinking kids. And we have drawing contests every week.
Wow.
We do lots of artwork. We have lots of paint. We paint over paintings. I never get mad if the paint goes flying, which it does. And so, but to me, like, art is that creativeness. I said to my kids, like, I will not pay for art school. I said this to them, like, their kids, my kids' college is already paid off. But I said, I'm not going to pay for your art school. If you want to go to art school, I'm not paying for it.
Okay.
But
I paid for my own school, so I'm still paying a little bit off.
Because, and my sister went to RISD, which is probably the best art school in the United States. And I got a Asian studies degree, but I was always doing art. And like, I just like the idea that you create. And so what I love about my kids' art, and this isn't even recent art, it's just a reminder of just creativity is what makes your money grow. Like, who's the best hockey player ever? Gretzky.
Oh, Gretzky. Yeah.
So Gretzky's dad was talking to him about this amazing team when he was young. I said, none of those kids will ever go to the Olympics.
Sure.
Because they weren't being taught to be creative. Or maybe it was his coach, or maybe his dad. And they said, all those kids are robots. They're going to do great up through high school, and they're never going to go anywhere with hockey because they're never taught how to be creative. And like, that's a big, I mean, creativity is about thinking like, oh, you can do that. I didn't know you could do that type of art. And I'll just give paints to my kids. I'm like, oh, she's using her palm. Oh, I never would have used my palm. Or my son would get like a paper towel out. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't, like, my brain would never think paper towel. I'm thinking paintbrush. And so to me, it's a reminder of just the power of creativity. Steve Jobs wasn't that good on tech. He was
got to think outside the box, outside the lines. In the art theme there.
Yeah. And it's a reminder to me. But so that was a very intentional thing.
Cool.
I was like, what is my background? I want a background that really represents who I am. Like, well, I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And I'm a single dad.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started researching for single dad help, because it's very scary to get a divorce.
Is that few and far between, by the way, to get single dad help?
Single mom, single mom, single mom,
right,
single
right,
mom,
see?
single mom, single mom, single mom, single. I mean, I put it literally like single dad or how to support or divorce, single dad. Nothing.
So we don't have kids and we never will. We're proud aunts and uncles. We realize like, hey, it's okay. Like I founded my own charity and everything. So like, it's not like I'm not, like people are like, oh, you're selfish. So I was like, okay, if you want to put it that way, you can put it that way. But the time freedom that I have created allows me to do so many other things. And then, yes, my wife and I are a little selfish. We like to go on vacations. Like I just booked another ski trip to Crestview, Colorado in a few weeks.
Yeah, but
so
I mean, we don't have to get into it, but
yeah.
I mean, that is a projection on the person that would say that, like, selfish.
Oh, there's a few people who have used it around me. And I'm like,
but you're saying like, okay. I mean, the thing is, I love words. I love the words people use because they create the worlds you live in.
True.
Like I never ask someone what their risk tolerance is because risk is a board game you played as a kid that was confusing. The brain doesn't. The brain has no idea what to do with risk.
True.
It has no idea what to do with that word. So it's got to create all these words and images and sounds and gustatory feelings to come back to you with an answer.
Well, and it's interesting because most people, as you age, look at risk. And it's funny because obviously you're in the financial sector, right? So people look at risk as a scary thing. Then there's people like me who are almost like, oh yeah, let's do this, right? Like I'm like, bring it on. And I can thank the firefighting to really rip the lid off on that. But like, you know, I planned my proposal to my wife with a skydiving trip. I mean, it's like, that's the way I'm wired. That excites me. I do believe in, I have a whole chapter of this in the book when it comes out. It's like, guys, like the sooner you get better at putting in the reps and embracing risk and the fear subsides, you still keep what's called, I have a chapter on this too, situational awareness, right? You still got to have an awareness of things going on around you. But the whole goal here is to become more educated, more informed. So the risk is not a fear, it becomes a strength. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you're big into NLP and everything else. So I'm very intrigued to see how you'd flip that for people hearing this. So
first, I never use the word. I use the word price volatility.
Okay.
But because people go, oh, price, that's right. There's price of what I own. And there's like, the brain actually gets volatile. It understands the word volatile. It goes, oh, got it. Like for some reason, the brain understands that word.
Well, there's hormonal responses, chemical responses, all that going on in there, right?
And so go back to January 1st, 2020.
Yep. I was skiing in Utah.
But just like, think about this, like, the stuff people were scared about. The federal funds rate is a quarter. It shouldn't be a quarter. The balance sheet of the Fed, quantitative easing, blah, 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 garbage, PE ratio, prices, like all this crap.
Who's saying this, by the way? Are these other experts like you
I think
or just anybody?
I think all big box advisors talking confusing lingo.
Yes. Well, again, 2 years ago, that's flashing back in my head. That's one of the biggest things I loved about you, is because we geeked out about that, how you can't stand it when people use all this big speak.
I have anaphylactic shock. Like, I literally am like, stop. Right. Like, those aren't your words. This isn't learning dinosaur terms when you're 8 or dinosaur names. Like, you just said nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
but are they doing verbal posturing, making them sound more knowledgeable and more important?
And I believe they are.
Yeah.
Like, let me show you how many different dinosaur names I know.
Yeah. Look at my vernacular. It's amazing.
Yeah, like, and then what do you think? And I'm just like, I think it's the wrong question. But no one on January 1st, 2020 was going, okay, look, the economy is going to drop by 45% in one day. We're going to shut down the country. Okay. Kids are going to get pulled from school and be out of school a year later. Like, none of that was in.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one could have predicted that.
Oh, we're going to have the fastest stock market fall ever in American history. And we're going to have the fastest stock market price increase ever in American history. And the fall is going to be 34% if you're measuring it by the S&P 500 in 30 days. And it's going to go up 2 point some X of that. And my point is, people are studying for the wrong test. Like, danger or volatility is what you can't measure.
Okay.
None of us can measure that stuff. The good news is you don't need to. We just know it's going to happen.
Okay.
Right. Like, so I've done 30 jumps, skydiving jumps.
Yeah.
So and after my 30th, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Now, did you go for 30 because you're trying to get your license, or you just kept going?
I wanted my A.
Yeah. So
I wanted my A, and I got it. I'm
still behind you. You got me. But because pre-COVID, I was like, I picked up a little book, the journal, because like my first 5 jumps, I didn't have them written down.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, maybe I should start logging this. The jump zone that I proposed to my wife was like, it's like 45 minutes from my house. I was like, maybe I should start making this a regular thing. But so
the danger's not. The danger is something that hits you upside the head that you did not plan for.
Okay.
Right. So the drop zone I did most by jumps at, on Labor Day 92, 13 people were killed.
Wow.
13 on Monday, Labor Day. And I got my sister into skydiving too. And on Saturday, she's like, should we go on Sunday or Monday? I'm like, Sunday, Monday. I don't know. I'm like, let's go on Sunday. So we have Monday being our Sunday.
Okay.
So we still have a day off. So we went on Sunday and we jumped a couple of times. Same Twin Beach that crashed the next day. We went and got a couple of jumps in.
The exact same plane?
Exact same plane.
Wow.
I have 2 sisters. I got my other sister into jumping too. And I had my parents verbally agree that all 5 of us would go up at once. And then the next day, 13 people got into this plane and it crashed.
Wow.
So
Tragic.
Skydivers don't die from skydiving. They die from plane crashes.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And you can't control that part of it. And so to me, asking somebody their risk tolerance on a Tuesday with 7 questions about the market falling, they seem odd, right? Because someone's risk tolerance is going to be 0 when the market's cratering. And if the market's crushing it and going higher and they're in the right places, their risk tolerance is 100%. Like, they can handle everything. I mean, that's how the brain works. And so I just find those very odd questions, and even the word risk. And so when people use financial terms, it really, and I don't use them.
Yeah. Because then you sound like everybody else. So
it's like they mean nothing and they don't work anymore. It's like, someone says the PE ratio is the highest it's been since 1929. I'm like, so?
What does that mean?
I know enough because I geek out in this stuff. And my comeback is always July 1997. The PE ratio was the highest since 1929. Do you know what happened after July 1997 to March 2000? And they go, no, the NASDAQ went up 200 to 300%. So you would have given up 300% because of some ratio. And the answer is and I'm not throwing them under the bus. Like no one's taught them how to look, like literally look at the markets. So we use shortcuts, like economists call them heuristics, but they're rules of thumb. They're just, I know. Yeah. They're just rules of thumb. They're just shortcuts. Like I don't know anything about investing. That guy's good looking. He's got a nicer car than me.
He's got a nice suit, right? We were talking about this.
He's dressed nicely.
He's clean shaven, you know.
the person who brought me in is good looking and younger than me.
Yeah.
You know, if you know anything about them, they have a good looking spouse.
Just for fun, I got a screen share. There you are, 2019. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just say, because you got the look, right? So what we're talking about here is like, well, will people trust this guy more or you now? I don't know, right? Does he look more stable? I don't know. So, right? It's
I know. I mean, and I'm guilty of this stuff.
The same man.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it. And that book was written in 2004. I bet you that picture was taken in 5 years ago. Even though
because you were doing a big marketing push and your PR person say, hey, let's make it look good. You're in the financial sector, right?
And the amount of conversation over tie or no tie, I'm like, I wore a tie when I got married.
Yeah.
You know.
And I didn't even do that. I was adamant. My wife made me shave everything off down to the bare skin like you. And then after she saw the photos, because I told her, like, just let me rock that one day scruff.
I need a little bit.
It's my look. And then she looks at the photos later. She's like, all right, well, maybe I should have let you have that scruff. She's like, it does. I'm like, you see, just let it happen. It's okay. I'll shave the neck. It's good.
But there's so much posturing in the financial industry.
Yeah.
There's so much posturing, and it is BS. It really is.
Well, honestly, what I know today, and thanks to the transitions, especially in the past less than 48 months, if you put that book out right now or did a new marketing push right now, and I look at you right now, because the way I'm wired and the people I connect with, I'm going to connect with you right here, right now. Way better than that photograph. Right? So just like we were talking about before the show, it's like, you and I have a lot in common. Mountain bike fans, skydiving fans, skiing fans. You definitely know how to break down the mechanical speak, as sometimes I like to call it, because that's what I do in the marketing world and the branding world. Like people like toss all this crap around. I'm like, I'm just going to talk to you like a regular human being.
Yeah.
And we're going to translate this, okay? Because I don't have time for this and neither do you. Like, just make it easy.
It's not even our language. Like,
right?
Yeah.
But it's from the textbooks, So, oh my God.
One of my rules is the more industry speak you use, the more you don't understand your industry.
Right. Because now you're just basically a pre-recording. You said robots. Yeah.
So part of the catalyst was getting the divorce.
Okay.
It's like, no one knew about me before. No one knows me now. I'm not a known entity.
So you're saying pre-divorce, were you, all right. So I'm very big on personal brand and professional brand, right? So, but I always remind people, I'm like, even I had to learn this, like your personal brand is part of your professional brand, right?
Yeah.
You're still that person beneath all of those layers. So you gotta, even if you want to be slow with it, let some of your personal life bleed through, like bring it out. So people see that you're a real person. I do this with a couple of clients right now. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's what I'm hearing, is that there was a bit of a wake up call. So
I think, every recession is an acceleration.
Okay.
Right. So this recession, the COVID recession or whatever it's going to be called, it was the first recession in US history where we knew the recession was happening when it was happening.
True.
Because all the other ones, it's like 9 months after it ended. We then learned it ended then. But this was like, nope, it's happening now. Everything's shutting down. Yeah. And that was there was an accelerant. And that's true with every recession. So
sure.
Companies on the margin, they're gone. Companies just maybe they're gone. Companies that really like, I got to pivot. I got to figure out how to get my tacos out online. They pivoted. They put, lines on their parking lot to have people come in, and they accelerated the process. And I think this idea of moving away from the posture and be like, yeah, I'm a single dad. yeah, I'm with my kids and I'm both their parents when they're with me. Yeah, this is what I wear. Like, I didn't want to have to like, and I know I say getting into the costume, I just didn't want to have to get into a costume. I just want to, work with my clients. And it's like, this is actually who I am.
Yeah.
And there was a point where it's like, I just didn't want to spend all the extra time. Like the reason I wear a hat is because I don't want to have to worry about it. How's my hair look?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm just going to put a hat on, and hopefully they hear my content and hear the intellectual property. And they're like, yeah, whatever, dude, he's got a hat on. But what he says has changed my life.
Yep.
So I think this most recent recession, and it's going to be different recessions for different people based on their income and how they make their money, but it's been an accelerant. I think one of the accelerants in a good way, it's also been in a bad way too, where people, they'll post like made 391% last year, and they'll post it. You know nothing about this person.
No.
You don't know if they started on May 23rd, which was the bottom of the market, and they got $1,000 and now they're up to $4,000, but all we know is this snapshot.
Oh yeah. Like for example, I don't do a lot in the crypto market, but I at least, just like in investing, I think you and I talked about this 2 years ago. It's like a few other financial gurus like you helped me understand, like, listen, whatever you put into whatever market you put into, it's gone. That's the mindset you need to have. Like you'll never get it back. If you can accept that, it's way easier. Like it's like I don't want to lose it. Like you already gave it away, right? Even though you're going to be investing it and growing it. When the one guy's like, listen, if you can accept that mental flip of the switch, he's like, you'll be a lot smoother. I forget your words, but I mean, the point is that you got to make it easier on yourself. Yeah. And to embrace these things. So I was like, you know what? I'll throw a couple $100 in here, $500 here, whatever. So play around the cryptos. But like to your point, so if I posted, like I put $100 into Bitcoin the very first time, that $100 is like $1,500 right now, right? So it's like, so if I posted that percentage, like I've grown my investments this much, but if I don't say how much it is, it just
but you can
like
even say,
guru.
You can even say, look at my crypto portfolio.
Right? Yeah.
My crypto portfolio is up. And on one hand, you wouldn't be lying. And on the other hand, you'd be totally lying.
Yeah.
And so we've also, so the acceleration on a good part has been like, yep, I'm home. This is what I wear. I'm not going to put a suit on because it'd be weird because I'm not in the studio and we know we're at my house. So it'd be weird to have a suit on. But then on the other hand, there's my crypto portfolio is up 8,200%.
There you go.
Now, you don't know anything about the person. They put $15 in to some crap coin, right? You know nothing about them, but because of all the platforms, there's these snapshots and you're like, I don't know. And so to me, it'll be interesting to see how, like, I'm a Gen Xer.
Same here.
So millennials will be very different than baby boomers. And I've noticed with baby boomers, what they do is they were taught the word staples or value or dividend. They were taught these words mean safety.
Yep.
So baby boomers, 60 to 80 years old, roughly speaking, they were taught if the fund has the word value on it or dividend on it or staple or utility, they were taught that is safe.
Oh, interesting.
They were taught those words mean safe. I'm going to be safe. Those funds fell harder in 2020 than just the overall stock market. And it's because people over the age of 60 are in them and they were sold that these words mean safe. They became unsafe. They got out of them, which made the falls harder.
Even more aggressive. Yep.
And so now the safe funds are more dangerous because people were never taught actually how to invest based on price. They were just using these shortcuts like dividend means safe, balanced. I mean, who doesn't want a balanced fund?
Sure.
It sounds really balanced.
Yeah. I would like to have a balanced portfolio, RC. Yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing.
I want a balanced life. And
yeah, right. Like, well, everybody's all about life balance. I should have a balanced portfolio. Yeah. I should balance my crypto. I don't know, whatever.
But think about because very few people have been trained to really get how to grow their money. We have to use these shortcuts. Yeah. I'm 60. I need my money. Go look for the word value or staples.
They want liquidity
or dividend, the word guaranteed has sold more life insurance policies on this planet than any other word ever invented. Because
what is your position on that? Just wondering.
On the word guaranteed?
No. On life insurance policies as an investment keyword.
Horrible.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that came out.
Yeah. But you know why?
Yeah.
But I mean, I get why they would buy it.
Yeah. I mean, peace of mind.
It's like, I'm guaranteed 3%. Yes, you are guaranteed 3%. So for them, they hear that and go, I'll be safe.
Okay. Right.
But they're the way I think of it is they're driving across the country at 25 miles an hour.
Right.
There's
going to be people honking like crazy behind.
Well, and the thing is, it's working, right? They're getting their 3%. They're getting from Manhattan to Seattle, driving 25 miles an hour on I-80.
Taking about 3 weeks to get there.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not a lie. Like, they are getting it. But I mean, there's this scene in Leap of Faith. Steve Martin was the lead.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Didn't get good review. I actually looked it up last week on Rotten Tomatoes. It only got like 65.
Really? Steve Martin, man. He's awesome.
But there was a scene, he's talking to God and he's a total fake.
Yeah.
But he said, God, why'd you create so many suckers?
Yep.
And to me, it was just this moment in the movie where it's like, we aren't taught. I don't even like the word taught because there is very little learning in investing. That's why I talk about training. I train people. I rewire their brains. The Army trains you. They don't teach you. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be pro or not pro the Army, but like the US military is amazing at training people. And so I was like, oh, people have to be trained. And part of it is we use these shortcuts. I'm scared. I'm 65. Guaranteed means I'll be okay. I have to move to Arizona from Portland, because they're using these shortcuts to figure it out.
It does frustrate me that this industry still allows that or just still portrays it in that way, because to your point, just what we saw since 2020, if I was a baby boomer and what I know of not being a baby boomer, I'd be like, dude, there is no perfect, safe investment. Like, this guarantee is not a word. I mean, it should not be included. And as far as I'm experienced, I mean, I'm open for your advice here because this is what you do.
Well, it is guaranteed. I mean, that's why it's such a magical word. They legally.
How are we defining guarantee, right? It's like, well, guarantee to get something out of a little bit.
But it's I mean, it is, again, I'm not even saying it like self-righteous. Like, it is a powerful word. The brain goes, I am safe, right? I mean, go look at the names of funds.
Yeah.
Like the balanced, blah, 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 dividend growth stability fund. Like, oh, I'll be okay.
So I wonder if they actually bring in, when these all those funds were created, there's still new ones being created, but I feel like, because I only minored in psychology, but I feel like there's they're hiring some type of psychological consultant to say, hey, you know what? When you do that branding on that fund, make sure you lead with that word balance, for example, right? Lead with that word, because this will open up this percentage of the market and they're going to be all over that.
We've got a great balanced dividend stability fund.
Ooh, stability too. Look at that. Double word.
Well, think about it. And then the brain goes, I have no idea what he's saying, but I know what balance feels like in my body. I like being stable. Like, dividend, dividend, that's payout, that's income. Dividend means income. I'm safe. And so the brain literally gets hijacked by these words. And of course the industry knows it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because the guys who do know what the real truth is, they're the ones making all the money off your money.
That's why I said before, like
guys and gals. So.
But some of the worst performing funds had the word, dividend in it and staple in it, because who owns it are people who got scared easier than those who didn't.
So what's your position on the S&P 500? Just for fun, since there's no fun buzzwords in there, right? So.
You mean just like as an index or as an investment? I mean,
I literally know one person, we were just talking weeks ago. He's just like, almost everything I do is aligned with the S&P. I'm like, almost everything. I'm like, okay.
Well, so this is one of the first things I say to someone. I go, you can buy the S&P with dividends reinvested for free. Before it was free, it would cost you $5 to buy, and it would cost you a couple basis points. But now it doesn't cost you any basis points to own that fund. It doesn't cost you anything to buy it. So it's free. And really, it's been free for a long time because $4.95 is free to me.
Yeah, $5.
So you have this free index that you can go get now for free. If you can't beat the free unmanaged index, or your big box advisor can't, what are you doing? So I have everyone start with, and by the way, over any 5-year rolling period, it's like 98+% of people underperform the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested. They underperform the thing that's free.
Wow.
So I just, when I go through,
that's a wake-up call.
Well, I say, look, your free stock market rate of return, which is not a term, but I kind of create like, so start with the free stock market rate of return. So there's a rate of return the stock market gives you for free. Start with that. You don't need to hire anyone. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to read anything. You know, in its present form, it was created in 1956. So it's other than the Dow Jones, three Dow Jones indexes, it's the longest, biggest index.
It's been around a long time.
It's been around a long time. It made it through the Kennedy assassination. It made it through 1968, stagflation, deflation, disinflation. Like, you start with the free stock market rate of return, which puts you at the front of the line. Now, here's what messes up people. No effort. I didn't put any effort into it. I didn't work hard. I just got it. It's free. It's costing me nothing. And I just learned it's basically going to beat everyone over a 5-year period forever.
Okay.
So start with the thing that no one, quote unquote, no one can beat.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, you can be done then. One symbol. You can be done. The symbol's free. But think about how the brain doesn't get that, because they've been taught that the research department on the 7th floor, and look at my suit and the desk and the view and the coffee and the paperwork I've shown you, and your monthly statement's 15 pages. And so now the brain has this cognitive dissonance. Like, wait a second, I don't understand this. Like, I don't know this guy, RC. He just said I can do this all for free and beat everyone. But it's $1 trillion industry. Like, bullshit. He must be wrong.
I agree.
Because
there's a whole lot of bullshit getting thrown around.
Because I don't know him.
Yeah.
And that's my dog in the background.
But usually Calvin's usually howling in the background, our coonhound. So I'll give you tonight. It's usually Calvin is like,
he just discovered that he has a bark. Like, he's like, and then when the person comes, he just starts licking them.
Oh, it's a loving bark. Nice.
Yes.
Hey,
and so
we are dog lovers.
But so then the brain has to do this shortcut. Well, I don't know, RC. That can't be true. And at least before tech, hold on, I'm going to close my door.
No worries. I'm loving this. So I'll vamp while he's closing the door. But it's like literally the last thing you just said was around that the giant pack of papers, right? And I'm flashing back to our old episode, and I'm remembering like, oh yeah, it's like they love to drown you, not just in the vernacular, but even in print form. It's just, you're overstimulated. Your brain just shuts down.
The brain shuts down. It goes to shortcuts. Okay, I don't know about any of this, but he's nice. Mm-hmm. I trust him.
Oh, I trust him. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Our brain goes to these shortcuts because 15 pages. Lingo, I don't understand it. Why are symbols on this page and not that page? What's this symbol? What does this mean?
Yeah.
Why can't I get it? Like, it's designed to create the confusion, so your brain has to go to a shortcut. And so it works. So like me saying the free stock market rate of return is going to beat your big box advisor 98% of the time. It is actually true. Yeah. But then they have to justify why I've been paying him or her for 10 years. Now they've got to get under that. And there's a few things humans are not allowed to be. one of the things they're not allowed to be is crazy. So if someone's looking back on themselves, like, oh, maybe I was wrong, or maybe, but if someone thinks like, well, that would be crazy to pay someone for 10 years if they underperform the free stock market rate of return. I'm not crazy. So RC must be crazy. Yeah. And so they're
not willing to accept that somebody who does know more than you.
Most aren't willing to. Yeah.
I'm not trying to call you out, but we just called you out, right? If I was you, if I was RC, I'd be like, I'm not trying to call you out. Just trying to let you know that, yeah, calling you out.
and so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you say the S&P, I think it's a US index. It's one of the hardest indexes to beat on the planet when you include dividends. And there are tens of millions of people paying unnecessary fees to underperform the free stock market rate of return.
Interesting.
That's what I think when you say S&P.
Okay. I like it.
And
that's why I asked that question, because your brain is obviously, my brain's wired differently than yours, right? Because I have firefighting and marketing, everything else in my head. You know how to break things down simply to people, for the financial lingo, because I took financial courses in college. I was a BS major. I changed majors 3-4 times, so I covered a lot of financial classes, and I immediately said, I want nothing to do with this. I do eventually want to hire, now granted, I don't have a big box, whatever. I have an accountant, and I know I have an inner circle of trust, and I've been learning from that. But I do believe in working with people like yourself who do translate this hot mess of lingo that everybody seems to respect and don't understand.
Yeah.
It's sad. That's what pisses me off, though, is like industries like yours, people could really thrive if they take accountability for understanding the knowledge you're talking about. But most of us are afraid of it, right? And they're like, wow, it'll take me forever to understand that. Unless you find somebody like you, it's like, no. There's people like RCA that'll just cut through the BS and tell you exactly how it is. You just got to be ready to take it.
Well, and the thing is, there is no product called financial training. Like, it's either someone manages your money or you buy insurance products. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So and I'm a cynic of the industry. Like I clearly know my position. And so what happens is, and this happens all the time, I hear someone say, I've been in your world long enough, RC, but now I need someone to go do this for me. And I can't find anyone because they all want to put me in a over-diversified, over-rebalanced portfolio that I just poke holes in, even at my level. It's like, can't I just, the answer is no, you can't. They're not out there. They don't exist because the business models around assets under management or selling insurance products.
Right.
Those are the two ways. But something around 45 or 50 years old, men and women start going like, something's wrong. Yeah. Something's not working. Like, I might like my guy or gal.
And this is good because the millennials need to hear this, right? Because that is part of my target audience is the millennials. It's like, dude, learn from us. Like, don't wait as long as we waited.
But they will.
Take accountability.
No, they will.
Because it's inevitable?
I've been doing what I've been doing for 23 years.
Okay.
So I got my first paid client at 27, 28. In 23 plus years, I can count how many clients I had below the age of 35.
Wow.
It's just the brain.
And that's a shame.
Well, right? but it makes sense. So the brain's designed that between the age of 22 and 45, your brain's designed that wealth is income. And so we're designed to go find good paying jobs, make more money. How much you make is your wealth. That's just a general shortcut of the brain. Like,
I thought the same thing.
I make 200, I make 100, 200, 300, 400. Like, that's their wealth. Something around 45 or 50, and they can be putting money into a retirement account, but somewhere around 45 or 50, they go, oh my God, I want to stop working one day.
I want my money to work for me.
Okay, hold on a second. I might love what I do. I want the choice to not have to work. Okay, so my life savings at 45 or 50 is whatever, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, whatever it is. It's like, then the brain starts to go, wait a second, how do I grow and protect this stuff? Because I'd like to not work one day. Really, before 45 or 50, It's very, very, very difficult.
I would agree with you. I
You
didn't
can't.
start ripping the lid off or being open to considering this with all the self-help books I got a hold of and everything else until after FIRE. So I was corporate monkey all my 20s. Then FIRE was like 30 to 32. Then dabbling in contract work and then getting more entrepreneurial, basically mid to late 30s, now into my 40s, right? So like it's still taking me all this time to still, I'm still like chunking away at it. But I agree, like prior to 35, I was like, never even considered it. Never really thought about it. Didn't understand about what, like, make your money work for you, wealth management, any of that stuff.
And there's such small numbers relative to income. So if you're making 150 a year and you, let's say have 150 saved and then 150 grows 10%, it's like 15 grand. You're like,
not that exciting.
You're like, oh, wow. Like I'll go to, Olive Garden. Like the brain is just like, what's the point? But there's a point between 45 and 50 where the brain really goes, wait a second. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. And it's not a millennial thing. It's literally a 22-year-old to a 45-year-old brain. Wealth is income. And it continues to help, your wealth because the biggest earning years for most people is 45 to 55.
Okay.
So they're usually going to make the most then, but they know their earnings runway is going away. And so they get pretty interested in going, okay, but how do I make sure I'm not a Walmart greeter? How do I make sure once I retire, I don't have to unretire? Or, okay, I don't want to have to move to that sunshine state.
Which, by the way, since everything you just said is a big part of 2020. A lot of baby boomers, people that were retired or were about to retire, were forced to not retire.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. Is there any percentages on that, by the way, out yet? I mean, do you have any data on that? I mean, I just know it's a lot. It was a big wake up call for a lot of people. Like they're still living off of their savings and they're living off their investments, but they still have to go back to work. Or, you know what? I was going to sell my company, but I'm not going to get enough for it.
Created instability in them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it has nothing to do with the millennials. It's just the brain from 22 to 45. Plus, culturally, we're taught to make money.
Yeah.
Like making money. I mean, growing money is really not trained into anywhere, except that, again, when you get to that 45 to 50-ish, it's like, oh, wait a second. Life savings needs to replace paycheck. How do I figure this out? And also, too, by the time someone is 45 or 50, they've kind of, they've seen the big box advisor that they trust and like, and they're like, yeah, he's kind of, when the market falls, my account falls. And when the market goes up, my account goes up, minus 2%. So they start to then question, like, I need to look at this.
Mm-hmm. What am I paying for? Basically,
Say that again?
I'd be asking that question. I'd be like, what am I paying for, so to speak, right? Like,
they start to question.
Your wealth management's not that impressive.
Yeah. I mean, again, not everyone questions it because, like I said, you can drive across the country at 35 miles an hour and you're still going to get there.
Yeah.
So part of it is just like, oh, I guess that's how it is. And if you have saved enough and grown enough, it doesn't matter. Like,
true.
People who have more than $10 million in the stock market, they don't hire me ever. Why would they? They won.
Yeah.
Right. It's really the people who are.
They're still trying to get to their first million or 2 million in the market.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it actually doesn't matter how much money someone has saved, because it's like, it's almost like if someone called up the gym and said, how much weight do I have to lose before I can start getting healthy?
Oh, don't get me going on that.
Like the person would be like, what? No, now you start now. No. I want to first lose some weight before I hire no, you do it now. It's not after. And so sometimes people will reach out to me or my company, go, how much do I need to get trained? And I'll email back and try not to be a dick, but I'm like, it's the wrong question.
Right.
Like, what is it you want? Do you want to truly figure out how to just crush this part of your life, like without trauma or drama in, just a ruthlessly simple way? It doesn't matter if you have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. you'll actually be a worse investor with the more money you have. Right. So I'd rather have someone learn at 100K or 500K than 5 million.
That's a good point, right? Because like if you have more money to play with, maybe you're willing to be more.
But that's not how the brain works, though.
Yeah.
The brain thinks, well, until I have 500, it's not really a legitimate amount, or a million or a quarter million. And I get it because of just the way the brain is designed. But it's like, this is your life savings. So this is your life savings. Do you want to just really make it work for you? Whatever that number is, it's your life savings, which is a very different conversation.
Well, it's funny you're saying all this way because, and we're coming towards the end of the show, so I'm loving it because God, in the past 2 years, I think the most of the show, back in the day, maybe when you had the last time, I was asking people towards the end of the show, like, hey, what are some final words you want to leave behind, right? And then I changed it to, what is your legacy, message? Like I got more big picture thinking. But then part of that legacy message is also just from a training perspective to teach people, like, guys, if whatever you're hearing right now, it just means that you or me or whatever is having this conversation is just at a different place on the timeline, right? So just like we all have the same 24 hours in a day, we all have the same opportunities if you choose to take accountability for it and reach out and find the right people to help train you. But it's like the sooner you start putting in the reps, the sooner you can start speeding up the timeline. The longer you wait to put in the reps, it means you're still waiting until that you decide to make a decision that day. It's like, so you can tie it back to fitness, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, first of all, when you say did you say your legacy? I mean, literally the first thing.
Like a legacy message, like an all-purpose as far as final words. So you don't have to say that. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I started asking people like, hey, man, like, why do we do everything that we do, right?
I will answer. So we do what we do because that's what we were trained to do between conception and 3 years old. So we all have parents, whether we know them or not. And we got genetics downloaded into us between conception and 36 months old. So that's the first 45 months of your life, right? Okay. Let's just say 9 months in the womb and then 36 months outside the womb. That's 45 months. So that wiring, and this gets into my NLP background, that wiring, 85% of everything you believe to be true in the world was done being built by the time you turned 36 months old. 85%. Wow. So if you grew up in a household with trauma and instability and not enough and danger and scariness, okay, even then from 37th month on forward, the rest of that's only 15% of all your wiring. So 85% of your wiring was done. So if you survived to the age of 3 and now you're an adult, first of all, your brain has no clock. So your brain doesn't know you're 43 or 44, 53 or 54. It does not know. It goes, I survived acute trauma, or I survived neglect. And it's happening nonverbal. Right. So it's not like, well, I never got any cigarette burns. Because if you study people who have had trauma, physical trauma, they actually do better than neglect. But just so getting with your question, the wiring that makes our money grow. What I wanted to say was, it's not their fault. It's not our fault that we go look for shortcuts. I don't want to be beating up everyone like, oh, you're looking for a shortcut, huh?
Right.
For the guy you trust or the gal you trust. Like, I don't want to come off as that person. I'm saying we do this when we don't know.
Right.
I go to the mechanic who I like because I don't know. I know where the gas goes. So my brain uses the shortcut, right? And so we do the same thing. It's like, it's not investors' faults, like that they use these shortcuts. It's just that it makes their life harder unnecessarily. And the reason we do it is because of the way we were all wired, or a lot of us were wired, right? Between literally that conception to 3 years old.
So then what are your thoughts on that concept that I kind of threw out there of whether I'm teaching entrepreneurship, marketing, branding, or in this case, financial knowledge, right? It's like, again, we're all on a timeline. Some of us just might be further along because of either what impacted us at a very young age, but also what triggered us to start putting in the self-work, taking accountability for our personal and professional knowledge, right? Putting in the reps is what I was saying. like, what is your thought on that whole concept? Because that I'm trying to align what you said there. It's like the sooner you start doing this and getting trained, the sooner you can start speeding up the timeline and getting further down and catching up to people.
My answer is it's yes. And like, yes, I believe that. And is that person open to high quality, immediate feedback? Most people are not. Okay. Years ago when I was married, my ex-wife was saying, hey, I've got this parenting course coming up. I've read more books on parenting. I've done more work on parenting than any man I know. And my 2 kids, I forgot how old they were then, just let's say 5 and 8. They're like, yeah, daddy, do the parenting class. Do the parenting class. And I was crestfallen. I'm like, but I've done more work. It's like, that's high quality, immediate feedback. Those 2 people are the only people that matter. And they're telling me, Dad, you need to get some work done.
Okay.
And so most people, I don't believe, are actually open to high quality, immediate feedback. And when they are, as you know, they're great clients. So like,
exactly. Well, and that's why that's what I tell people in my own business. Like I just recently signed a client and I told him, like, it's okay if I don't sign you. Like, I want to make sure we set that at ease right now. Like, I don't need your business. I've learned now over the years, like just like years ago, I would take on almost anybody. Like, no,
I know.
No.
Right? Oh, you need your car cleaned? I'll clean your car. I'll clean your car.
You don't need to please everybody in the world, right? You need to, in marketing or branding speak, right? You got to develop your avatar. You got to know who you're meant to work with and who you're meant to support, and then really funnel that down. And then you find that 5% of the population or whatever it is, and it makes it a lot easier. Like, it's okay if you're not ready yet. Cool. I'm looking if I'm RC, like I'm looking for those people that want it fast.
And I describe it as, if you want to figure it out, then, in regards to money, this is the place. But if you just like, I've got to do it, or God, this, or
I really need to get around to that.
I guess, but they're never going to implement.
Right.
And it's because it's bringing up feelings: mad, sad, glad, afraid.
Yeah.
And all parenting is about feeling the feelings you're not willing to feel. That's why parenting is so hard. That's it. That's parenting right there. Parenting is feeling the feelings you're not willing to feel. And guess what your kid's going to do? Have you feel that feeling you're not willing to feel. And you're going to have to you're going to freak out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. This is hard. It's hard because you're like, I thought I didn't have to feel that feeling again. Here you have a 4-year-old having you feel that feeling. And oddly enough, investing is the same way. You buy something, you do everything right, it goes against you. You're going to have to grieve. But no one's ever talked about grieving and investing because that seems silly to a lot of people. But that's actually what's going on. Grieving is about really feeling certain feelings.
Yeah.
So
allowing those walls to come down and embracing that, Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Listen, RC, man, this has been a blast. I was really looking forward to catching up with you. I hope you've enjoyed it. So
this has been great.
And the more real you, mind you, as well, right? Go full circle, right? No posturing, just keeping it real. Rocking my hoodie and ball cap. So
I know.
I was, like I said, I was really looking forward to this episode because you do keep it real back in 2019. And again, ladies and gentlemen, the episodes up, the podcasts are evergreen back in 296. If you want to go back and listen to them then, listen to them now. So it's let those walls come down is how I'm looking at it. Like, the sooner you can embrace this, the great. And if not, that's fine. Go find somebody else. But I know for a fact there's a percentage of my audience out there that are hard chargers, and they've already started breaking those walls down. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, dude. Like I want to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the biggest thing I'm always teaching people. I don't care who I'm talking to: health, fitness, business, marketing, branding, skiing, mountain biking, whatever. It's like, guys, the sooner you step up and take accountability for where you're at and where you're going to be going, the lot easier it is for a coach or a trainer or whoever to work with you, because we all got to own our shit. Like, don't get me going about society right now. Like, nobody wants to own their shit. Everybody's playing blame game. I'm like, 2020 was my most successful financial year.
Yeah.
I have no problem. I'm not hiding that. Like, I'm not some multi-millionaire. I'm just saying, like, dude, great year. economy sucked. People were losing businesses, but I was helping people and I succeeded because of it. So I didn't sit there and like, oh, woe is me. The world's shutting down. I was like, what do we got to do? Let's get to work, right? Let's own this. Let's go help people who want to own it too. That's like,
well, it's funny. I was telling my kids for the whole thing, I'm like, everyone's going to do this differently. Mm-hmm. This is how we're doing it. So you're going to meet people who are going to stay in their house for a year. Mm-hmm. You're going to meet people who think it's super dangerous out there. And at any moment you can get sick and almost die. You're going to find people like, I was like, this is a time for us to really, this is an external thing. And this is how we're doing it.
Right.
Which
and respect what other people do.
Absolutely. Right? Don't make them wrong. Just
exactly.
Go, this is how we're doing. I mean, I have two sisters and they did it very differently. Sure. So they got an example of, at least two other people who did it.
Oh yeah.
But to me, that was another great thing about 2020. Like, oh, external factor had nothing to do with your age or your religion or anything. It's like, this happened. This was a global event.
Yep.
And everyone, and I mean, a lot of it had to do with how you make money, right?
Sure.
But still, like, it was an accelerant to life. And I've met a lot of people like, last year was great financially. Like, yeah, I mean, home with my kids for, 12 months or whatever. Like that's
dear Lord, as a parent, I don't know how you guys do that. I'm just happy to see you smiling right now. You're not mentally broken.
Oh my God. Luckily, my kids need almost no coaching around school.
That's awesome.
We only have one rule in both houses. You can't get a C. If you get a C, C's aren't okay.
Yeah. Got some work to do.
I don't care if you ever get an A, but you get a B and let's do good art. Let's play, let's laugh. But if it's a C, it means you either didn't get the concept, which is totally fine if you got a C. It means you missed the concept, or you gave up and you just didn't put the work in.
Nice.
And it's okay if you didn't get the concept, and it's okay if you're like, screw this, but you're going to go back and fix it. Yeah. But other than that, there's
own your shit. I mean, we can't always say that to the kids, but it's like, own your stuff. All right. Like I could be you could be the best dad in the world. Right. But it's like, it's still you and what you are learning. Like, got to own it. Got to take accountability.
But just them hearing, even from both parents, even though they're divorced, it's like a C means something went wrong.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Wake up call.
We can hire a tutor. We can hire tutors. We can get coaching. Yeah. We have the resources to help you get the B. But C means this. C's are not okay.
I like that.
C's are okay.
It's a realistic threshold.
Okay. And there's no judgment. Like, it's like, if you're getting C's in something, then we need the Spanish coach.
There you go.
Because Spanish is going to be with you until, senior year. So let's figure it out.
That was a struggle for me.
I hated languages.
Oh my God. Yeah. Don't get me going.
Languages.
That and the accounting classes. Oh, hated them. So, So hey, RC, I had a blast. This has been fun. I heard my dog now barking in the background, so he probably needs some love. So as we close the show out, you've had 2 years of growth since I've last seen you. What is an all-encompassing message you want to leave behind? Something of a high level behind. I think you were very true and transparent today, as you always are anyway. But
and I mean, do you mean to the group or like to the world?
Why do you do what you do?
Got it.
Right? Like, what is, if your business shuts down tomorrow and you're a super dad, you made that very clear thing in the show, but it's like, why do you help people? Why do you like,
I'll tell you. So, people have unnecessary trauma and anxiety and stress in their how to grow my money world. Like, and the message is, it is all completely unnecessary. You're either creating it yourself and you just don't know it, or someone is creating it for you and you don't know it. I mean, literally in 23 years, it's really, you're either creating trauma in your finance, you're doing it, and you're literally seeking out the most unstable investment. Okay. But you just don't get how your childhood trauma is having you recreate that survivable experience. Or literally you're like, oh my God, they're creating it, and I just never knew it. And I see them both turn around immediately. And so, I mean, for me, the message is there's no need to be anxious ever about the stock market or you're investing. And if someone thinks that seems so hyperbole or hypey or crazy to even say that, you know, that just tells them how much of the hype is you should be scared, or how much of the message is you're really screwed if you don't come over to us.
Yeah, we have some conversations. let's start working through the trauma.
Yeah, like, and no one talks about this stuff because it certainly doesn't sell books. Yeah. But I think the message is there's a better way. It's without trauma, without drama, and without actually much effort. That's the other thing most people have been mistaught, is they assume income effort, the effort you do for income, you need the equivalent level of effort around money. And the thing is, money does not care about effort. In fact, the more effort you put in, there's this, inverse correlation to your returns.
There's a diminishing return.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
well, thank you, sir. Good words. Well, listen, hang tight. I'll give you a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, as I hinted, the return of RC Peck. So if you hung out all show, you should better have. But again, it's digital content. You can pause and come back. But thank you for finishing the episode with us. Guys, it's 2021. It's a new year. It's new beginnings. Grab the bull by the horns, so to speak. Own it, right? I said it already. Personally, collectively accountable. We talked about posturing today. RC becoming a recovering cynic. I earlier in the show, he actually said the line, crush life without the trauma or drama. We just talked about trauma and drama again in his final words of the show. So if this does not motivate you or inspire you to take some action, at least share with other people. There's going to be somebody else on that point of change, and they need this. They need this trigger. Please share the episode. That's all I ever ask. That's why the show has been free for almost 5 years. I don't do ads. I don't have sponsors other than me sponsoring myself. So thanks for tuning in. As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Fearless Wealth. It's been out a long time. Simple steps to grow and harvest your money. Check them out at fearlesswealth.com. Again, all this stuff will be in the show notes. We'll have this on YouTube. It's already live on Facebook and across all the podcasting world, including now Amazon's Audible and Spotify and others. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, you too can live the fuel, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you guys again soon.